Supply Network Dynamics Chapter 2, Clip 8, Systems Archetypes. So the combination of negative and positive feedback loops, there can be infinite ones of them, and yet some of them are quite common. We already saw that with a positive and a negative feedback loop, you're pretty likely that the behavior you'll end up with is something called S-shaped growth. Some of those behaviors have become so common that system dynamicists have started to call them archetypes. And Peter Senge, in a book he wrote some 23 years ago on organizational learning, summarized quite a few of them, and they've become quite popular. And we'll be seeing a few of them throughout this course as well. We already saw a few of them. Exponential growth, a very common type of behavior. Population growth in the world, the wealth of a stock in a certain time for a very popular brand, the growth of a company like Facebook until a couple of years ago, whatever. The state of the system leads to an increase, is driving the net increase rate in the system, and that creates the state of goal seeking, the next archetype. Oscillation, and we'll be zooming on in on oscillation a bit more later on this chapter. Important to see that it's really oscillation is you're trying to achieve a certain goal, but you're overshooting. There are some delays between you and the goal, between the moment that you actually see that there's a gap, and the moment that you can actually take corrective action, and the moment that you see that the action is actually being effective, and so you overshoot. S-shaped growth, we also saw that a little while back. So there's a net increase, there's a positive feedback loop, but also a negative feedback loop. The positive feedback loop is dominant during the growth stages. The negative feedback loops towards the more maturing or well, not decline, but rate of growth decline stage. Overshoot and collapse, also a quite common one, because if you grow too fast, it may be that actually you're killing the resource adequacy, the resources that you have to sustain your growth, and as a result of that, quite spectacularly you go down. There have been quite some example of, I don't know, your popular restaurant or bar in the neighborhood got so popular that it became very overcrowded, that a lot of fighting, etc. And before you know it, it's not popular anymore. Let's have a look a bit more at oscillation, because it's such a nice, complex archetype, swinging back and forth.